The Fate Stay Night collaboration with Honkai Star Rail is just around the corner. Who would not be excited for these two 5-star characters that were teased just a few days ago at the end of the concert event? However, keep in mind that PHAINON will also be arriving in the same patch. You don't need to worry too much about Archer as he will be a free unit. But what about Saber and PHAINON? Who should you be saving your resources for? That's why we are going to take a quick look at PHAINON's early kit. What kind of skill set does he have, and will he be a unit with a flexible team composition, or the opposite? Before we begin, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Disclaimer, this is still an early version of his kit, so please don't take it as final. Things may change over time. So, let's get started. According to the official drip marketing, PHAINON is a 5-star limited character with the physical element, following the path of destruction. Much like Castoris, Fei Xiao, and Acheron, PHAINON does not use energy to unleash his ultimate. Instead, he features a unique mechanic where players must accumulate a special resource called memory. These memory stacks can be built up through several parts of his kit, such as his skill, talent, and traces. He also gains them when allies use a skill or ultimate that targets him and grants him one or more buffs. Once PHAINON has gathered enough memory stacks, he can finally activate his ultimate. This move pulls enemies into a special domain while isolating him from the rest of the team. During this stage, PHAINON gains multiple actions and has the potential to wipe out enemies instantly. To understand his kit better, let's start with his talent. As mentioned, whenever a teammate uses a skill or ultimate that targets PHAINON and grants him a buff, he gains one memory, a crucial resource for triggering his ultimate. He also gains one memory when he's attacked by enemies. The maximum number of memory stacks he can hold is 15. Besides unlocking his ultimate, each stack also increases PHAINON's crit damage, though the exact value has not been revealed yet. Once he reaches 12 stacks, PHAINON can use his ultimate. However, based on the current talent info, it appears that even if an ally grants him multiple buffs at once, like Sunday with a Sacrados relic setup, he will only gain one memory stack per instance. But again, this is based on early version of his kit and may be subject to change. As for his basic attack, there's nothing out of ordinary. It hits a single target and deals physical damage, while also granting one stack of memory. His skill, on the other hand, strikes 2 enemies at once and gives 2 memory stacks. Now that we have covered what memory is and how it fuels PHAINON's ultimate, let's take a closer look at how his ultimate actually works. PHAINON's ultimate can be activated once he reaches 12 memory stacks. When triggered, PHAINON and all enemies on the field enter a special territorial zone, during which his appearance changes, likely resembling the form shown in his splash art. Yes, he basically leaves all his teammates behind. While in this transformation state, nearly all of his stats receive a boost, including attack and max HP, though the exact values are still unknown. On top of that, PHAINON also gains damage reduction, immunity to debuffs, and a boost to the toughness damage of all his attacks. He also extends all of his health buffs for one more turn. It's important to note that while PHAINON in this mode, he can no longer generate memory stacks, not even one. But that's not the end of what makes his ultimate special. During this territorial phase, all enemies are inflicted with physical weakness, and at this point, PHAINON receives 8 fixed turns that are inserted into the action bar. These special turns are the main source of his damage output. After these 8 turns conclude, PHAINON will exit the zone and ending his transformation. When that happens, all allies receive a speed boost for 1 turn, though the exact percentage has not been confirmed. The interesting mechanic here is that these 8 special turns have a fixed action value, and buffs and debuffs won't decay during this period. Another thing to note, while PHAINON's ultimate is active, his skill becomes enhanced and use a different resource, called Ruin Marks, instead of regular skill points. When entering his ultimate state, PHAINON immediately gains 4 Ruin Marks, and these are consumed to activate his enhanced skills within the territory. So for the duration of this mode, he won't be using regular skill points at all. PHAINON's enhanced basic attack or Q target 3 enemies at once, dealing physical damage to all of them. Using this skill also generates 2 Ruin Marks for PHAINON. These Ruin Marks essentially function as special skill points, and PHAINON can store up to 6 of them at a time. Next, let's talk about his first enhanced skill, which you can activate by pressing W. This ability forces all enemies to take their turns immediately, while PHAINON enters a counter state. During this mode, he restores ruin marks equal to the number of enemies on the battlefield and heals himself. If PHAINON is attacked while in this counter state, he retaliates with counterattacks that deal physical damage to all enemies. These counterattacks are treated as skill damage, so yes, he also has counterattacker mechanics, much like Yunli. And what about his E? Well, that one gets enhanced too. When using his second enhanced skill, PHAINON consumes 4 ruin marks to unleash a devastating physical bounce attack. For each ruin mark consumed, the skill deals 4 hits of bounce type physical damage to enemies. If all 4 ruin marks are spent, the skill will deliver one final additional hit that's shared among all enemies, a sort of AoE finisher. Then just before PHAINON ends his ultimate mode, he unleashes a final blow, maybe similar to Fei Xiao's ultimate, dealing physical damage to all enemies. But there's one important catch. If PHAINON's HP drops below a certain threshold during his ultimate, this final blow will automatically trigger early, even if he still has special turns remaining. And worse, if this happens, the damage multiplier is reduced. So yeah, PHAINON's ultimate is absolutely stacked with features: burst potential, counter mechanics, enhanced skills, and a strategic resource system. He's clearly built to thrive in both single-target and multi-target scenarios. Now that we have broken down his ultimate, let's move on to his traces. His first trace activates either when he enters battle or when he enters his ultimate territory. In both cases, PHAINON gains a temporary attack boost that lasts for 2 turns. Then whenever PHAINON receives a shield or healing from an ally, he gains a damage bonus buff that also lasts 2 turns. The exact value of this damage increase has not been confirmed yet, but if it turns out to be significant, then running a team without sustain may become less viable, despite the fact that PHAINON can heal himself during his transformation. If you remember his ultimate description, a self buffs get extended by 1 turn while he is transformed. That means both the attack buff and the bonus damage buff from these traces could last longer than intended. Now what about his final trace? This one triggers when a teammate grants PHAINON extra energy, even though he does not use energy for his ultimate. When this happens, he gains 1 memory stack. However, this effect can only trigger once per turn, and it resets when PHAINON's next turn begins. It is a fun detail. Despite not needing energy, he still benefits from energy-centric support characters like Sunday or Huohuo. This gives us a subtle hint at how flexible his team comps might be in the future. As for his technique, it's surprisingly similar to Acheron's. How so? Well, PHAINON can also instantly kill enemies in the overworld, as well as in simulated or divergent universe without entering combat. However, unlike Acheron, PHAINON's insta-kill is AoE based and consumes 2 technique points per use. To balance that, if PHAINON is on the team, the party's maximum technique points increase by 3. And there's more. If PHAINON enters combat through this insta-kill technique, all allies receive energy restoration at the start of the battle. Plus, when he first enters his ultimate territory, he instantly gains 2 additional ruin marks, giving him more fuel to begin his onslaught. Okay then, what about his Eidolons? Do they make PHAINON even more busted than he already is? Let's dive into that next. Okay, we all know that when PHAINON activates his ultimate, all enemies are inflicted with physical weakness. However, this does not actually reduce their physical resistance. It just allows physical attacks to break their toughness. That's where his first Eidolon comes in. With Eidolon 1, as long as PHAINON's territory zone is active, his physical respan is increasing. And once PHAINON exceeds these states, all allies receive even more energy regen, further boosting the team's momentum. Moving on to Eidolon 2, this is where things start to get really wild. While PHAINON is inside his ultimate territory, his overall damage increases by a certain percentage. And if you use his second enhanced skill, the one that consumes 4 ruin marks, PHAINON will gain extra turn immediately after. That's right, more turns on top of his already stacked turn queue, which drastically increased his damage output potential. Eidolon 4 is more straightforward. It simply boosts the multiplier of his counterattack damage, making his counter stance even deadlier. And finally, his 6th Eidolon adds one last twist. During his ultimate, all of PHAINON's attacks deals additional true damage, ignoring enemy defenses. Then after exiting his transformation, PHAINON gains a set amount of memory stacks, helping him charge back up his next ultimate more quickly. So even though it's still early, Eidolon 2 currently looks like the strongest value spike. Why? Because getting extra turns for a character who already dominates the action bar is massive. And since Eidolon 1's physical respan also unlocks alongside Eidolon 2, you are getting a 2-for-1 power spike. But of course, we will still need to wait for the final multipliers and numerical scaling once his beta kit is officially released. I think that wraps up everything about his Eidolons. What do you guys think? But don't go anywhere yet because this is not the end of his early kit. We still need to talk about his signature light cone. When a distraction character uses this light cone, their damage will partially ignore the enemy's defense. After using their ultimate, the user will gain the loss effect, which increases the damage of both their ultimate and skill. Additionally, when the user is attacked by an enemy, they will immediately recover a portion of their HP based on their max HP. So this light cone is somewhat similar to Clara's, as it provides self-healing, although not in large amounts. However, aside from PHAINON, Uni also has the potential to make good use of this LC. So far, it looks like PHAINON pairs extremely well with supports like Sunday. That's because Sunday's skills and ultimate synergize perfectly with the conditions required to trigger PHAINON's talent. Plus, Sunday's also restores energy, which directly helps unlock the effect of PHAINON's third trace. Looking beyond Sunday, Bronya is another strong option. Her skill set plays a similar role in enabling PHAINON, especially when it comes to pushing his turns and enhancing his damage output. For certain options, Huahua stands out as a great fit, not just for her healing but for her energy regen, which again contributes to memory stack generation for PHAINON. That said, any abundance unit could potentially work: Gallagher, Locha, even Lynx, especially if they are equipped with the light cone's shared feeling, which restores energy to the entire teams when the healer uses a skill. Outside of what's currently available, there are rumors that Seridra may be PHAINON's best in-slot support, along with a new variant of Dan Heng coming in future patches. But of course, we will need more information to confirm how effective they will be in practice. And that wraps up the early breakdown of PHAINON's kit. Disclaimer one more time, this information is still in its early stage, so please take everything with a grain of salt. Many values and mechanics could change by the time he officially launches. What do you guys think of PHAINON's kit? Do you like his mechanics, or are you not a fan of this style of gameplay? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with more early reviews and character breakdowns. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for your time and I will see you on the next one.